Hello and welcome. I welcome you once again to this wonderful lesson as we proceed with Bible knowledge in Form 3. Remember, we are looking in the book of Isaiah. We are looking at the book of Isaiah, and this is Proto-Isaiah. But you know what? To this far, this lesson marks the end of Proto-Isaiah. We have analyzed Proto-Isaiah from chapter 1 up to chapter 11. Between chapter 11 and chapter 35, more of what is contained there are the warnings and more of the prophecies to different countries, just as God had told Isaiah to tell different people about the impending judgment according to their sins on the respective countries. So from chapter 1 up to chapter 11, that's where we have analyzed, we have seen how Prophet Isaiah interacted with the king, especially King Ahaz. So we have seen what happened there. But then from chapters 36, 37, 38, and 39, those are the final chapters for Proto-Isaiah. So, which means this time around we are looking at the very last part of Proto-Isaiah. And in this part now, that's where we look at the interaction between Isaiah and King Hezekiah So in this lesson today, we are going to look at how the prophet interacted with the king, and basically we are going to end in chapter 39, whereby we're going to see the previous prophecies coming true, where we see in chapter 39 the Babylonian messengers coming. Then it ends there. In chapter 40, that's where now we are in second Isaiah, when we talk of second Isaiah or Deutero Isaiah. Now the Jews are in Babylon. There was another Isaiah prophesying to the people after they stayed there for some time. But for today, be with me as we go through this interaction, or laying a background how Prophet Isaiah interacted with the king Hezekiah. I am your teacher, W.A. Mawowa. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to analyze the work of Proto-Isaiah by looking at how Prophet Isaiah interacted with King Hezekiah. So it's another good part that we are going to look at. So here we are going to lay a political background to everything. Now, what happened was that Sennacherib, the Assyrian emperor, attacked the 46 cities of Judah in 701 BC, when King Hezekiah had ruled for 14 years. Then Sennacherib, through his official, asked Hezekiah to pay tribute to Syria and surrender the city of Jerusalem to the Assyrians. So we see here the 46 cities of Judah were attacked, were captured, and it was during the time of Hezekiah. So during this time, it was the time when Hezekiah has only ruled for 14 years, and during or after this attack or this invasion by Sennacherib, then what happened was that Hezekiah was asked to pay the heavy tribute, a tribute, the money that is supposed to be paid for being under another one's charge. So it is like you are paying a penalty. So that penalty, maybe you are paying every month, paying that one. So that one is a tribute to show that you are still under the control, under the authority of someone, to show that you are under somebody's authority. That is a tribute. Hezekiah stopped paying heavy tribute to Assyria and then joined anti-Assyrian alliance with Egypt. Later, the chief official delivered a speech to the people which undermined the people's self-confidence. So we see here that Hezekiah, after paying the tribute for some time, then later on he decided to say, no, we are no longer going to pay this. We can't manage this. Then further, he also joined into an alliance with Egypt to go against the Assyrians. So there was the danger there. So what did Hezekiah do to start to assert Judah's independence? So he removed the Assyrian altar from the temple. So remember the first analysis that we gave, we said that Isaiah prophesied that the Assyrians would come and people would be worshipping the foreign gods. Because of that, they have adopted, they have fallen into alliance with Assyria. So Isaiah warned the people, warned Ahaz, but Ahaz did not listen to that. But it came to be true that when the Assyrians invaded Judah, they also imposed on the people to worship the Assyrian gods. So Hezekiah here, we see that later on, when he stopped paying tribute, then he removed all the Assyrian gods from the temple. He stopped paying the tribute to the Assyrians. Then he condemned idol worship. Then he constructed the Siloam tunnel to be ready for a siege by the Assyrians. So this is what he did. So Hezekiah, he made a number of changes there to show that he is an anti-Assyrian. He removed all the idol worship, stopped paying the tribute. He also made himself to be ready for any attack. So he constructed something like a defense mechanism, a wall to stand against the coming Assyrian army. What did Hezekiah, why did Hezekiah join the anti-Assyrians alliance? So why did he change his views to join the anti-Assyrian alliance? So number one, we are saying that Judah's influential people encouraged the king Hezekiah to do so. And also, he thought he would manage to break away since Assyria was busy crushing Babylonian rebellion. So it was something like a timing for Hezekiah. He saw to it that at this time, the Assyrians are busy suppressing the rebellion of other territories, especially from the Babylonians. Therefore, they are busy there. While they are busy there, let me also stage a rebellion here and stand against the Assyrians. So that's why he joined the anti-Assyrians. When we say anti-Assyrians, it means against Assyrians, an alliance against the Assyrians. Also, he joined because he thought Assyria would not hear about the revolt. So he also thought, Hezekiah thought that, all right, this time, because the Assyrians are busy to the other side in Babylon, crashing down or suppressing the rebellion, then they will not hear. They will not hear about the revolt. They will just feel as if everything is just normal. He hated being subjected to Assyria, paying heavy tribute and worshipping Assyrian gods. So we see to it that Ahaz, his father, the father of Hezekiah, he was pro-Assyrian. But this Hezekiah, his son, he was anti, he was against the Assyrians. And he hated paying tribute to them. He also hated worshipping the Assyrian gods. Remember, we just said that the Assyrians imposed the people of Judah, their gods on the people of Judah, such that the people of Judah now, they had to worship Yahweh, and at the same time to show that they were under the Assyrians, they were also to worship the Assyrian gods. This pained a lot Hezekiah to say, why should we be worshipping the Assyrian gods and also Yahweh? Why should we do that? So he hated that. Then he joined the anti-Assyrian alliance with Egypt. What was Isaiah's reaction to Hezekiah's joining of alliance? So remember, Isaiah, the first alliance when Ahaz joined an alliance with Assyria. Isaiah went there. Remember what happened there. Isaiah went there. Remember, he went with his son Shear-Jashub there. Now, this time, what was his reaction, the reaction of the prophet? So he was not happy and disapproved the alliance. So this time also, Isaiah was not happy, and he also said, no, when we said don't join the Assyrian alliance, we did not mean that you should join the Egyptian alliance. No. So he did not like that. So suggest the reasons why Isaiah did not agree with the anti-Assyrian alliance. So here we can say that Hezekiah weakened his faith in God by joining the alliance with the Egyptians this time. So we see that it showed that the faith of Hezekiah was weak in God, could not rely solely in God to say, God, we are a small country, we need the support from other people. That's why maybe he joined the Egyptian alliance. Then it also exposed God's people to idol worship. So it was like they did away with the Assyrian gods, but this time around they were for the Egyptian gods. So it was just like worshiping so many gods plus the worship of Yahweh, which wasn't good at all. Assyria was used by Yahweh, therefore it was not good for him to revolt against Assyria. So Assyria, he was supposed to remain into that alliance because it was God who said, I will punish the people of Judah because of their sins. The leaders, they are incompetent. They are not practicing justice. They have rebelled against him. Remember, we talked about that in chapter 2, chapter 1, chapter 3. We all talked about that. So God sent the Assyrians. He sent the Assyrians as a punishment. Therefore, Isaiah was not happy simply because they were to remain there up to the time when the punishment is over. The king should always put his trust in Yahweh. So Isaiah did not agree with this anti-Assyrian alliance because the king was supposed always to trust God. Now, describe the Assyrians. How do we describe the Assyrians, how they reacted when they heard of an anti-Assyrian alliance? Now, hear this. The Assyrians, they are busy suppressing the Babylonian rebellion. Then at that time, they hear about the revolt in Judah by King Hezekiah. If you were king or King Sennacherib of Assyria, how could you react? How could you react to that? You are busy there suppressing the rebellion, and you hear also of another rebellion elsewhere. Then, if you are the king, what can you do? All the armies are there with you. What can you do? So let's see what the Assyrians did, how they reacted. Immediately, they attacked Phoenicia and Philistia. So, to show that they were big people, they were an empire. Then now what they did was that they attacked Phoenicia and Philistia. They attacked Judah, destroying 46 cities. See, so Assyria, just as we said, it was a superpower. When they heard about that revolt, then immediately they attacked Phoenicia and Philistia. Those were independent countries, and defeated them. And immediately they also sent the armies to Judah and destroyed all 46 cities except Jerusalem. That's what they did. And they besieged Jerusalem. To besiege is to surround. They surrounded Jerusalem in readiness to capture or to get it. They defeated Egypt after withdrawing from Jerusalem. So they withdrew from Jerusalem. They did not capture Jerusalem. Then thereafter, they proceeded to the alliance partner of Judah, which is Egypt. Then they proceeded to Egypt and defeated Egypt. So there you can really confirm that Assyria was indeed a superpower of that time. It was a big country that could defeat any country at any time. Analyze Hezekiah's religious reforms. So Hezekiah, when he came into the throne, he made some reforms. What were those reforms? He reopened the temple for worship. So the temple was solely for worship of Yahweh. He removed the orders of the Assyrian gods from the temple. So he got rid of all the Assyrian worship, and he revived the old covenant between Yahweh and the Jews. So what he did, he invited the people together to renew their covenant, to say, no, we are the people of God. We are supposed to follow his commandments. So he did that. He also reintroduced the celebration of the Passover, which was stopped. So most of the Jewish religious festivals, they were stopped during the time of Ahaz, after they were under the Assyrian control. But then he reintroduced them, all the celebrations, including the Passover. So how was Hezekiah a man of faith? From what he did, how do we describe the faith of Hezekiah? So he purified Judah's religion. So he was indeed a man of faith, because as a king, he purified the religion of Judah. And also in his sickness, he turned to Yahweh. So there was a certain time when the king, we're going to talk about that, when he fell sick, then he turned to Yahweh. So we see that he had strong faith in God. He accepted the word of prophet Isaiah when he reprimanded him for seeking alliance with Babylonia. So there was also a time when Judah wanted to fall into alliance with Babylon. Then what happened was that he accepted the words, the reprimand from the prophet, unlike his father Ahaz, who refused any warning from the prophet. So himself, he accepted the word. He went to the temple when he received the Assyrian threats. So we see that indeed he relied on God. Hezekiah relied on God so much, because when he received a threat from another country, that is from the Assyrians, then instead of organizing the army to get ready, the first thing he did, he went to the temple to spread the letter. We are going to look at that, to spread the letter on the altar, to say, God, read it by yourself. See how these people are undermining your strength, your power. Also, he promised that going to the temple would be the first thing he would do if he recovered. So always he put God first. The temple was number one. Why the temple? Because we also looked at that to say the temple, it meant the presence of God amongst the people. So it was an important aspect. It was an important aspect. We talked about the king, the temple. They are important aspects in the Jewish society. So he promised God that go to the temple if I get well. So it shows that Hezekiah was indeed a man of faith. How was Hezekiah the most outstanding king of Judah? To this far, sometimes we can conclude to say Hezekiah maybe was the most outstanding king of Judah. Why should we say that? He truthfully worshipped Yahweh. So everything was referred to God, Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh. Whatever came, number one was to the temple, Yahweh, Yahweh. So it means he really represented God amongst the people. And he turned to Yahweh in his sickness. So he was really outstanding king, because it was Yahweh number one. And he also accepted the prophet's criticism for seeking alliance with the Babylon. So we see here that he was really outstanding, because he represented God among the people. He accepted criticisms. Most of the kings or the leaders, they don't accept criticisms. They feel like the one who is criticizing them is an enemy. So criticisms, they are there to make us straight, not to show that someone who is criticizing us is against us. So he is an outstanding king here because he accepted the criticism to say, oh, really, it went wrong here. So let me make my way straight without coming into enmity with the people who are criticizing him. He was angered most by Assyrian insults against Yahweh. So when the Assyrians sent their messengers who insulted Yahweh to say, your God cannot do anything like that, then his heart was angered. His heart was angered so great, so deep, so that uh, he went to the temple to say, God, look at what these people are saying. So it shows really he relied on God. He was really outstanding king of Judah who put God number one. But what was his character? How can we describe the character of Hezekiah? How can we describe the character of Hezekiah? So he was very enterprising, but by fortifying Jerusalem. So here we mean that he was really active. He was a critical thinker. He thought about what is coming. Then he could think of the solutions. What should we do if this happens? So he fortified Jerusalem. That means he built a wall against Jerusalem, around Jerusalem, to say, right, there we need to have to safeguard Jerusalem against the enemies. So he was enterprising in that case. So he was a man of mistakes by making alliances with Egypt and Babylon. So as a man, he could also make the mistakes. We have said here that he was a man of faith. He relied on God. But being a man of faith doesn't mean that he cannot make mistakes. He made mistakes. Some of the mistakes are these, that he made an alliance with Egypt. He also made an alliance with Babylon. He was active in international politics by joining alliances. So he saw the things at an international level. Say, right, that country is doing that country is doing that, okay, cannot it be the right time now to do this? So he was taking the possible actions by analyzing international politics. So he was active in international politics. He was a man of faith by always turning to God for help. So he always turned to God to seek help. So what can political leaders learn from King Hezekiah? Today, we have so many political leaders today. So we have looked at Hezekiah here. What can they learn? In the coming days, coming years, you'll be the politicians. What can you learn from King Hezekiah? So we see to it that as a politician, or even political leaders of today, they should be very enterprising to develop their nations. Some of the politicians, we see that they are after enriching themselves, getting rich, building so many houses, opening so many companies to their names, and making their relatives rich so that they become richer than everyone in the country, and they feel good like that. But as a politician, you need to be enterprising to see, is everyone living in safety? Is everyone safe? If I'm eating today, is everyone eating? Of course, you cannot feed everyone, but you have to try to see to it that, yes, everyone is safe. So they should be enterprising to develop the country. They should be very patriotic in making policies. Usually, when you say politicians go to the parliament there, usually you find them maybe making the policies that would be to their advantage. So in that way, they are making bad policies there. Should accept their own mistakes and learn from them. So politicians or leaders today, they need to learn from their mistakes and learn to accept the mistakes and learn from there. Don't be at enmity with someone who has spotted a mistake in you. So rather, you should have thanked someone to say, all right, thank you for pointing out at this. Otherwise, I was just looking at it that it is normal, it's okay. So politicians need to accept the mistakes and learn to do better. Should be very active in international politics. They should see what other countries are doing in the politics there, what they are doing, and see the entry points to say, can't we have maybe an agreement with this country on this aspect? Because they are troubled in this way. Then what if we enter in this way like that? International politics like that. So they should be very active into that. Politics should not be only for a constituency, for a region, for a country, no, but should be international. Again, those politicians, they need to see what is happening to our neighboring countries. If it is an MP for this constituency, has to see what is happening to the other constituency and see how best they can uplift themselves. Should have faith in God. So this is paramount, to have faith in God. Sometimes politicians, because they are there as leaders, people were looking at them as the people who are going to solve our problems. They need also first to run to God. They need to show that they have faith, just as Hezekiah, when he saw that there is a threat here, he did not go straight to the army commander. Army commander organized 200,000 soldiers. No, he knew to it that they were a people of God. God is the one who provides the solutions. So he turned to God. Politicians, those that do not rely on God and tell the people the lies to say, we are going to build this, to do this, to do this. No, first turn to God. God, people don't have houses. People are moving in bad roads. People don't have money. God, these are your people. Dress them. Build whatever for them. From there, God is going to make them wise and give them solutions. So the politicians, they need to learn from King Hezekiah. Be a politician someday and learn and to be good. Rely on God. Don't tell people lies so that they vote for you and uh, you feel like you are God yourself, so that every solution of the people you are going to solve, you can't. You can't. Hezekiah realized that he can't solve every problem to rescue the people, but God is going to do some things, some miracles. So in the coming lesson, we are going to see how King Hezekiah himself did what he did in the interaction to show his faith in God when he interacted with Prophet Isaiah. Now, for further resources, you are going to check or to see these references that are here. So they are going to assist you so much. So if you have any question or for further studies, visit xulendo.org, where you are going to find resources for other subjects as well. Until next time, listen to the voice of substance. I'm your teacher, W.A. Mawowa. Thank you so much.